Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of the Las Vegas Advisor Weekly Update with Anthony and Andrew. Today is August 23rd, 2024, and we are pre-recording this to be released next week. And today we are joined by our guest, Brady Kannon. And Anthony, why don't you go ahead and give us a little background on Brady? You guys have known each other for a while.
Okay, Brady, I'm going to tell a little bit of your history.
All right.
You just, just yell
just
at me.
Keep
Or
it
wave
to the good stuff.
Wave your hands if I do it wrong. So I'm gonna talk about what I know, and then you'll tell us more later. Okay, Brady started pretty much as a sports reporter in California.
Yeah.
Moved to Las Vegas to continue in the business, and of course got into sports betting, mostly specializing in golf and football. He won some golf contests, but the big news is he also won the Hilton Super Contest in 2011 as a part of a four-man team. After that, his star rose, of course, and he stayed in it. He helped create the Hilton Super Contest weekend with Jay Kornegay, was an on-air personality at VSiN for 5 years or so, hosted the Heat Strokes golf podcast, right? Heat Strokes.
Yep.
And has run lvttimes.com for decades. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Brady has also played with Frank B. and me for the past 2 years in the contest. And I think we're going to do it again this year.
Yep.
We did not do well.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we've been kind of pretty average.
Yeah, we've been very average.
Yeah.
So we shall see if we can bring back some of the old magic. We're using the same team name, Sanssouci.
Right.
Sushi,
right.
how do you pronounce it? Sanssouci.
Sanssouci.
Sanssouci. I made it sound like we're going out for sushi day.
Where does the name come from?
That's a great question, and it's a fun story. The original team in 2011, Sanssouci, when we won, Sanssouci is French for without worry, or the way it's typically translated is no problem. Okay. And we, three of the four of us on that team were big music fans and big fans of the Grateful Dead. Mm-hmm. And there's a story about an old folk singer by the name of Peter Rowan tells a story about how he and David Grisman, a mandolin player, formed this band in Marin County. And they said, Jerry Garcia lives up the street. Do you want to go see what he's up to? And so Rowan is telling this story about how they arrive at Jerry's house, and there's this old, scraggly looking guy with the long gray hair and the beard sitting on his front porch picking the banjo, and there's a sign above on his front door that says Sanssouci, which he says, is French for no problem. And that's kind of the way Jerry lived his life, no worries, And
Cool.
so we said, we're going to go win this contest, no problem.
I've been to that house.
And they did.
Oh, have you really?
Well, the Jerry Garcia house in San Francisco, of course.
Yeah. Wow.
Did you see the sign?
Well, I wasn't looking for it, but no.
All right. So the main reason that we have Brady on is to help him promote and talk about his new podcast, which is going to be called Las Vegas Football Contest Show, or the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Mm-hmm. It's going to be Brady Kannon, who was the Super Contest champion, along with James Salinas, who was also Super Contest champion, a different year, correct?
Yes.
And Mike Pritchard, who was NFL wide receiver for years and years, when he was a kid out of Vegas. Went and won the national championship with Colorado Buffaloes.
Right.
And then wasn't he all league a couple of times?
He was the MVP of that national championship team in 1990. Yeah. And then he was a first round draft choice, selected 13th overall by the Atlanta Falcons, played for the Falcons, the Broncos, and the Seahawks 9 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So we're going to get to that, in a minute, how Mike Pritchard will contribute to what you guys are going to do. The show debuted last Friday.
Yep.
And in fact, Andrew said we're pre-recording this. You've just shot it, right?
That's correct.
How'd it go, man?
It was great. We had it's been a lot of hard work leading up to this. And of course, you've been a great supporter and a big part of it.
Yeah, we're helping to sponsor. We're one of the, Huntington Press is one of the sponsors.
Yep. And, I have an incredible team as far as our video and our audio and our website design. The website, by the way, is footballcontestshow.com. You can follow us on Twitter at FB Contest Show, Instagram, Football Contest Show, footballcontestshow.com, all over the place. And it was funny. James and Mike and I were on kind of a group text maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, and somebody kind of talked about a football contest, or it was coming through in conversation, and one of us made a joke like, "Yeah, I ought to do a show about that," and I kind of went, "That's actually not a bad idea to do a show about football contests." And I immediately went to bed that night and started trying to buy the domain name Football Contest Show and blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, guys, are you serious about this? And we talked to Derek Stevens on our episode 1. It was from Radio Row at Circa. And there's another example. Derek is now guaranteeing $16 million with his contest this year. And, this was a little old Survivor contest, and now it's a multi-million-dollar thing. And when you get down to the end of the season, there are many corporations being formed and lawyers get involved. And because there's so much money at stake, people are partnering and investing with these entries that have made it all the way down to the end. And now you have, a Radio Row springs from that. I mean, there was 37 different radio stations and shows in that room talking about the upcoming football season and these contests at Circa. And here we are, another offspring of the incredible growth of football contests in Las Vegas. And we're another product of that as well. Now dedicating a show once a week to this topic, putting together 3 guys, a former NFL player, 2 former contest winners. We've got an entry into the 3 big contests in town. And we're going to go on this program every week and talk about our process, our handicap, and ultimately release what our selections are.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, what is going to be the way you blend? You got 2 contest winners, big contest winners, and NFL expertise. I guess that's the idea, right? That you're going to blend that expertise together.
Yeah. The 3 of us have done a lot of broadcasting work together in the sports betting space. So we all have experience not only talking on that topic, but talking about it together. So we have a nice chemistry together. And Mike's perspective is really interesting. He will readily admit he's not the greatest sports bettor in the world. He's learning. He's getting better every single year. But when I did shows with him, he would always bring something up from the player perspective that I went, wow, there's a nice little nugget that is actionable. So the fact that we've known each other a long time, Mike, is getting his appetite whet for the betting aspect, and he's learning more year after year and still has that great player perspective. And then it's a real nice variety. James's handicapping style is a little bit different from me. And, so I think it's a good blend.
So, all right. So from week to week, you're going to talk about who you like. You're going to talk about your position and how that works in contest theory. You're going to talk about your handicap and why you did it. I mean, are you going to get into numbers, or are you going to get into contest theory, like maybe staying off the first favorite, that sort of thing? I mean, how deep are you going to go?
I think we're going to go as deep as possible. One thing we said is we always reserve the right to change our pick. We do this show on Fridays. It's going to be every Friday. It'll come out around 7 p.m. Pacific time, wherever you get your podcast, footballcontestshow.com, YouTube, you name it. And we are going to give out our 5 picks for Circa Million. We will give out our 5 picks for the Westgate Super Contest, and we will give out we're actually have 3 Survivor entries, and we'll give those out. And we're going to try and be as transparent as possible. But like I say, we do reserve the right if, Joe Burrow gets injured on Friday night or something like that, there's a chance we could change a pick or 2 before the deadline. But no, for the most part, I think you know how it is, Anthony. By the time Friday night rolls around, you're pretty set on what your 5 selections or so are going to be. And yeah, hopefully, to your point, hopefully we get into this deep enough where we are relevant and we're talking about game theory and we're talking about, boy, what do we do this week? And the better we do, the more interest we'll build. And we're going to have to be, again, transparent.
It's interesting because, the reason that we ended up playing together, you and I and Frank, is that we're kind of like from 3 different areas. I'm almost all numbers.
Right.
I couldn't handicap my way out of a paper bag.
Right.
I couldn't. You're almost all handicapping.
Right.
Right. With a pinch of logic thrown in. Not just a pinch, but good.
Yeah.
But me, I'm 100%. You know, all I'm doing is looking at numbers. I'm looking at positions. What should I be betting and not betting? Frank's a little bit of both.
Yep.
And
I think that's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
I know Frank is definitely a little bit of both, and you're all numbers based. And I said this on a show the other day. I think I'm a really good handicapper. I'm not a great bettor. You know, you're an excellent bettor. And maybe you just, as you admitted, maybe not the best handicapper in the world.
I suck.
So, yeah, there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat.
I'll tell you what a great handicapper I am. I handicap in my mind, and then I give weight to the other side. I give weight to the other side. I think I should be going against what I think is going to happen.
But you're right. I think the three of us make a good team. You and Frank and I. Our Sanssouci team was a blend. You know, I was a guy that typically looks at underdogs, you know, the handicapping style. We had a guy that had been in the casino business for 20 plus years and really looked at it from the side of the house. We had a guy that was a complete square ball, and we had a guy that typically, and was not a square ball, but a very good bettor, but almost always landed on favorites. So we had a blend. And I think sometimes it takes that when you know how it is, guys, to win these contests these days, you have to hit pretty darn close, if not better than 70%. Mm-hmm. It's hard for one person, I think, to kind of luck into that. But when you have a blend where maybe, you know, this guy's hitting 65 and this guy's red hot and he hit this, and I almost think sometimes your chances are better at getting a team hot than getting one individual hot.
Yeah, we've had some discussions over the year between the 2 years between the three of us that, you know, every once in a while I've been friends with Frank a lot longer than I've been friends with you.
Right.
So I'm more comfortable talking with Frank, and I'll say to Frank, I'll go, we got to put our foot down.
Yeah.
I go, you know, Brady really likes us, and we both don't like the other side. We got to put our foot down.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes hard to do with a team.
It's a great comment, Anthony. And we talked about that today. And we've talked about it too in being teammates. And this is true. Mike Pritchard talked about it, you know, and that's why he's great having that professional element as well. One of the most important things you have to have on any team is trust, right? Yeah. And so if you're telling me this, I'm at one point going to have to say, you know what? I trust him, and I'm going to back off and allow him to do what he's telling me he wants to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you going to have guests?
Yeah,
like
we had
maybe the girl who won the, you know, last man standing, or, you know, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Potentially.
We had another one of our sponsors, MATTY with footballcontest.com,
I'm
PROXY
glad you
service.
got that in there. Yeah, we recommend them as well.
Yeah, he was on your show just recently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, great guy. I've known Matty for a long time. So he was a guest on our show today to kind of educate a lot of people about what a proxy is. You know, a lot of people don't know exactly what that is. So we had him, and then of course we had Derek Stevens on the show as well. Now, the plan going forward is not necessarily to have a guest every week, but there certainly may be times where we've got to get someone on, you know, someone that's really in the thick of it. Hopefully it's us, or, you know, whatever, but somebody that is becoming a story throughout the season. Yeah, there will be room for guests.
Let me ask you real quickly, Circa versus Westgate. All right, now it's obvious that Circa is taking the crown.
Right.
You know, we've talked about that on the show before. My feeling is, I don't want to put you on the spot, so I'll tell you what I think. Why did Circa so fast, so quickly take the lead? And I think it was, you know, something akin to the argument or the debate about what made poker explode. Was it the whole card cam? Was it TV? Was it, you know, what was it? I think it was the guarantees for sure.
Yeah.
Right, which they've done.
Right.
And the no rake. And that's what people don't really realize. You know, from a gambling perspective, one of the first things you look at is equity, and there's no rake on these contests at Circa.
Right.
And also at Westgate now. So that's
right. They had a rake for a couple, 3 years.
8%.
Right. A big, and, you know, I understand it too. There's additional work and additional labor that you have to pay. There's so many, you know, back in the day, there was 300, 400, 500, 600 people that played in the super contest. Right. And that was a huge percentage of professionals. Now there's thousands of people that play. And I think the percentage of non-professionals versus pros is, you know, huge. I mean, what percentage of the contest is amateur? 75%? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if those people really understand a rake or not. So I think it is massive. About, you see $1 million, now you see $8 million, $10 million. I think that's the big draw. Yeah.
Interesting. One last thing on this, then we want to talk about how you won the Super Contest.
Okay.
All right. One last thing. We looked at the numbers. We just put everything together of where the contests are this year. So, it's not just the ones you're talking about. Will Hill has their $25 contest, and Station has Last Man Standing. Golden Nugget has, their football contest, $1,000 entry fee, much smaller than these others. Just for your information, if you were to play one of each, you were to play every contest, one entry, you'd be out of pocket $9,275.
Wow, that's more contests than I thought there were.
If you were to play to the max all contests. By out of pocket, I don't mean you're going to lose that much, because you can. That's why you're playing. Maybe you win. That's just if you play each one once.
Right.
If you play them all, if you max out, it's $32,025.
It's a big commitment, right?
Just so you know. So anyway, okay, good. Good luck with the show. We're really looking forward to seeing it, and we will on this show, when we know exactly where it's airing. Say again where they can find it.
Yeah, wherever you get your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, all that good stuff. YouTube. It's both an audio and a video feed, so you can watch it on YouTube. You can listen to it on Spotify, what have you. And then, of course, it'll be posted on our website as well at footballcontestshow.com. So we're so excited about it, Anthony, because there seems to be such an appetite for NFL football contest insight.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, and it seems to be growing faster and faster.
And, exponentially.
New people are coming in. Andrew's playing first time.
That's right. I know.
This is my first year. Yeah, I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Watch him win. I'll kill him.
Well, I wanted Anthony to be my partner.
Well, hopefully you've signed a deal where he's in for 5% or something like that.
I'll give him 10%.
Okay. All right. There you go.
We have to make a little deal on our stuff. All right.
Well, I was also going to say, we do follow Survivor every year on our podcast as a segment.
Yeah.
And people seem to like that. So if you like that, then you'll like Brady's show.
Yeah, I think so. And Survivor, Derek had a great description of the two contests, and really it's three. You've got the Westgate Super Contest, where you pick the 5 games against the spread, which is akin to circa million, picking 5 games. And then there's Survivor, where you're just picking a winner. He used the term digestible. It's so much easier for people to swallow. All I have to do is pick a winner. It's much less intimidating than trying to pick 5 games against the spread. And that's why you have double the amount of people that participate in Circa Survivor than they do in either the Super Contest or Circa Million. Anthony, you talked about it. You're a numbers guy, and you can probably do this in your head very quickly. I would have to sit down for hours to figure this out. Is there a better chance to cash, not necessarily win the whole thing, but to cash in some form or fashion in the Westgate Super Contest, competing, let's say, against 1,000 people with 12 different contests within the contest, versus Circa Million, let's say, not Survivor, Circa Million, that's going to have 6,000 people in the contest.
Right. Paying to 100 places. And
paying to 100 places, all that good stuff. There's a lot of factors, and maybe it's about even. But
I think that there's a better chance to cash for sure in the Westgate contest.
Okay.
Because not only, are there fewer people, less competition, but they are paying in so many different ways, those contests within a contest and all that business. But your cashes are going to be much lower.
Yeah.
So, for all that goes into it. But for people who just go, I just want to cash.
Right.
Then I say,
hey, are you going to turn down 25 grand?
Yeah.
If it's easier to win 25 grand than it is to win $1 million.
Well, I'll tell you what, I will give you one more plug on this, because like I say, for the past 2 years, we've been on texts or on phones and everything, me and Frank and Brady. And Brady comes up with some really good stuff. So I think you're going to enjoy it. I think it's going to be a good show. I'm going to be watching every week.
Great. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk about what it's like to win a big contest like that. Now, I've played tournaments and contests for years. I played hundreds, and I know how difficult it is. And I have much respect, for what you've done. I've won a lot of tournaments, mostly table game tournaments, blackjack, craps, things like that. I've taken second numerous times in football contests. Frank has won a few himself. but I'm the only one between the three of us who never won outright a football contest. So tell us a little bit about that, winning that thing. First thing, how much did you win? Nobody has said. How much did you guys win?
And it was a pretty darn big prize, $320,000.
Nice.
Not too
Okay.
bad.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty legit. There was 517 participants in the Super Contest in 2011, and that's when it was just really starting to grow. I think the next year there was 750, and the next year there was 1,200, and pretty soon the Super Contest got up to about 3,500 people before Circa came around. My partner on the football contest show, James Salinas, won. He won almost $1 million. He won a little over 900,000. There was, I want to say, about 2,000 people in the contest at that time.
After you, right?
He won in 2015.
Okay.
And what's interesting, maybe we were supposed to do a show together all these years. We both hit the same percentage. We had the record high percentage at the time when we won at 72.5%.
That's good.
It was broken a couple years. I thought it'd be a Joe DiMaggio type record that lasted forever. It was broken a few years later, and then James tied it. He hit the same 72.5% in 2015. But we won a good chunk of change. That's back when the entry fee was $1,500. So there's a little bit more money in the pot. We won the 3-week mini contest at the end. And we also got an extra $10,000 for hitting better than 67%. So we swept the board. Wow. Yeah, I was talking about it with my son last night. We were, James Salinas was in town to do the show, and we were reminiscing about that. And he was saying when you got down, my son was telling the story, when we got down to about the last 6 weeks of the season or so, mom would take us the kids out to go grocery shopping. We're like, we got to get out of the house. Dad needs a defibrillator. He's going to yell at the TV for the next 4 hours and go nuts. And yeah, I can almost go through, I mean, if you told me the games, who we were on, and I could almost recall them all. It's just, and this is another thing, Anthony, I think you know this really well. You can be the world's greatest handicapper and have a tremendous season and hit 62 or 63 or 65%. Getting to 70, 72, there's a 5 to 10% window that's pure luck. Yeah. I think you can have a great season, but I remember putting us over the top and ultimately winning a contest was every pick six and fumble and weird bounce at the end of the game seemed to go our way. Yeah. Every coin flip, we won 85% of them. Wow.
So anything 70% and above is ridiculous.
Right.
You know, when all these touts yell and scream about 70%, they're full of shit.
No,
they're not doing that. I mean, one of the reasons you can hit 72% is that you only have to pick X number, and you're dealing with some stale numbers, things like that. So there are things that go into that. To try to say you can hit 70% plus over a season is virtually impossible.
It's pretty darn tough.
So these are good numbers. Show them your ring, man.
Yeah, I wore this. I told my wife earlier today, I said, it's your favorite time of the year, honey. Football contest season in the air and all that stuff. And she said, what do you mean? I said, I get to wear my ring. And she, oh, God, that.
Look at that big gaudy thing.
Yeah. You were with me, I think, when I got this. Mm-hmm. We were at Oasis, an after party. They had a ring ceremony or whatever. And so it is this time of year that I like to put it on. I'll probably wear it for every show, the football contest show.
Sure,
I got to wear
not?
it, right? So my wife will be happy. I get to wear it all year long.
I want a big gaudy thing like that.
Yeah. It says Sanssouci on here. I mean, it's pretty cool. It says 320,000. It's got the year, it's a pretty cool piece.
Very nice.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's a big ring.
It is.
I mean,
a lot of the things I was going to ask, we talked about in the section talking about the show itself, which is mostly like your strategy, and you mentioned that that you do a lot of handicapping, you listen to your partners, the whole thing like that. So we'll move on from that. Tell us about lvttimes.com. All right, we're going to get you a plug for what you do.
Right, yeah.
I mean, we got to mention Brady's thing is golf, right? I mean, football and golf. I know that you are highly respected as a golf bettor, and I don't just mean contests. I mean that you bet golf on the side, and that you've done well, and you have a great reputation. So, tell us about your business.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like you talked about, out of college, I was a sports reporter in San Francisco. Then I came to Las Vegas and got in the radio business, eventually stopped doing that and got into the golf business. And I worked for Billy Walters, who I got to see recently at the Bet Bash at Circa and gave him a big hug. He's a big part of my upbringing in the golf business, and opened a course with him called Desert Pines. But after being on the golf course side for I guess about 5 years, I got into the tee time reservation service business here in Las Vegas, which is a very prevalent, service out here in Las Vegas. And I work with all the hotels and their concierge. And, somebody walks up to the concierge and says, "Hey, I want to play golf. What do I do?" "Oh, well, let me call Brady." And so we make tee times for people all over the city and beyond, and private clubs and public courses. And, a lot of people come here. People don't come here for golf. Golf is one of the amenities. And they often don't know, "Hey, I hear golf's great here. What do I do?" "Oh, well, let me let you talk to this guy that's been doing it for 30 years, So and we don't charge a fee. We're a free service. I always say all we do is help. If Anthony says, "Hey, I've got a buddy coming in, I want to play golf with him. What should I do?" "Well, what are you looking for? What's your criteria?" And it's like if somebody walks up to the concierge and says, "Hey, we want to go somewhere for Italian food." You're not going to recommend the French place, right? We want to find a golf course that matches their skill level, their needs for location, level of difficulty, budget,
Yep.
So there's a lot of different factors that go into, trying to provide the best, optimizing what it is that they want. And I started in the tee time business in around 1999-ish and owned my own company for 13 years, BK's Golf Services, LV Tee Times. And then I sold that company to a national tee time service called Tee Times USA. And they retained me to continue to run Las Vegas for them. So that's really the timeline of my upbringing in the golf business.
Cool. What a great service. I mean, so you got some buddies that come out, they're weekend hackers or something, and they can call you up, and they can get online, I reckon, with you, right?
Yep.
And say, "Look, here's who we are. This is how we shoot. How much does it cost? What should we do?"
Yeah, exactly. It's just guidance, and it's free guidance. So if it costs $100 to play golf, or it costs $350, or even at the Wynn, it costs $800 to golf, I'm not going to charge you a penny more. My recommendation, my advice, my expertise is free, and hopefully very helpful.
If I were to call you up and tell you my golf history, you would tell me to go to a mini golf course.
That's about right.
Go play mini golf. There's where you belong, man. All right, that sounds great. Couple of random questions. All right, just some real quickie questions to finish up. Since we're talking golf, your favorite golf course in Vegas?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, my favorite golf course in Las Vegas is no longer here. It was the Desert Inn. I love the Desert Inn, the DI. It is now Wynn Golf Club, but it's totally different. I love the DI. Shadow Creek is remarkable.
You played it?
I have a couple times. Shadow is certainly remarkable. Cascada is a great course. Reflection Bay is a tremendous course out at Lake Las Vegas. South Shore is right across where Celine Dion used to have her home. South Shore is a private club that's phenomenal. And I tell you, one of the best, a lot of people come out here with my service. I talk to a lot of people and field a lot of questions. If I want something really unique, what's going to blow me away? The Paiute Resort out by Mount Charleston, it's about 35 minutes off the Strip.
Wow.
Is really unique. It almost feels like you're playing golf on the moon. It is, I think, the most dramatic example of desert golf. And it's just vast. There's no homes on the course, so it's just vast, Joshua trees and yucca plants and mountain scenery, and it's really stunning. It's a world-class place.
Cool. You play golf?
Me? No, I don't play golf, but it sounds like going to Mount Charleston is the place to, that sounds like the ticket.
Shoot, I'll go out with you. You guys play. I'll go hang.
Yeah,
I'll go hang in the bar.
You take the 95 north like you're going to Charleston, and I think the Charleston exit's on the left, and right across the street on the right is the Paiute Resort. They have 3 courses out there. It's an Indian reservation, the Paiute Indian Reservation, and it's a much more reasonably priced. They're anywhere from about $100 to $300. It's high end, but it's not the $800 and the $500 and stuff like that. And one of the reasons they don't charge as much is because they are 35 minutes out. It's a 10-minute further drive than most of the courses, but it's a great value. Tremendous place.
I love this because people call us for advice on everything for LVA. Las Vegas Advisor, you're supposed to know it all. They call and ask me about golf. I'm not a golfer.
It
I've
sounds
never
like
been
there might
good.
be a job opportunity here for me.
Yeah, maybe it could be. But I mean, this is my answer from now on. This is, or it has been for a while. This is where you go. I mean, this is where you find out about golf in Vegas, right?
I do Top Golf. That's what I do. I do Top Golf and beer. Yeah.
It's not a bad combination. Top Golf's a great thing, and a lot of people opt for that. I think it's really neat how, Anthony, you know this. First of all, golf, I think, is probably the last 20 years the biggest growth of any sport as far as betting.
Yeah.
Golf betting is, and COVID gave it another shot in the arm when it was the only thing you could bet on. But also now there's this new wave of nighttime social golf, like Top Golf. You know, there's like 3 or 4 of them in town now.
Atomic Golf just opened by the
Atomic
Strat.
Golf, yeah. My son goes to like a hitting area, you know, where you can track all your shots, and it's a bar in the back. And
oh man, there's like 5 or 6 of them now.
yeah.
I mean, they keep opening. Pop Stroke, is that one?
Yeah,
There's like
yeah.
Pop Stroke, and the one that's I can't even remember. There's another one right here in Chinatown. It's in the back of a bar, and it's, you know, I mean, it's literally, it's not outside, but it's the what do you call it? The digitized golf that you can actually swing.
It's
swing
called
full out.
a simulator.
Yeah,
And it's whatever avenue you're going down, it's great to see the game of golf growing the way it is.
You're a good player, eh?
I'm pretty good. Yeah. You know, back in the day, I got to be a 5 handicap, which is really good. Now I'm more like a 10. I don't play nearly as much. But, you know, if I was to get out of here and go play down the street right now, I'd probably be able to shoot about 85.
Man, there is no sport in the world that I'm more crappy at than golf.
It's
really
it's
bad.
hard. And that's why Top Golf and all this stuff is great, because it allows people to swing a golf club and hit a ball and have some fun, but you don't have to commit 4 or 5 hours to a game that's expensive and very difficult.
Good. All right, good advice. LVTtimes.com. This one question for me. I mean, you know, as good as you've been and gotten at betting, you know, especially in your areas. Now, you didn't grow up like me. When I was a kid, I got my first book on blackjack, and that's all I did. You know, read them. You come to Vegas, a babe in the woods, right?
Oh,
you know,
yeah, totally.
How did you learn? Did you learn just by being around the right people? Did you learn by reading a specific book? If so, what would be a sports betting book you would recommend, if any, or how did you learn?
Yeah, great question. And it's really just by osmosis and soaking up the people that I was around for the last 30 years. I came here 30 years ago with a radio job, and God bless his soul, with Dave Koken, who just passed away recently, a great friend of mine. We did a show together, and Dave, you know, I learned a lot. And you know this, Anthony. You know, I came in green from the Bay Area. You know, are the Niners going to win? Are they going to win by 7? Of course, they're going to crush them. And then wait a minute. Sports betting, we want to kind of go the other way. We want to think totally contrarian. And what seems common, we're going to go uncommon. And you know, when we did this show together, Dave and I, we had guys like Jim Feist and Dr. Bob Stoll and Mark Lawrence and all these handicappers and guys on, and I started to learn about the way they were thinking, and I started to read their books and about trends and this and that and angles and Dave Malinsky. And you know how it is too, Anthony. I mean, you learn something new about sports betting probably every day.
Well, that's a different thing. I mean, you know, blackjack's rote. It's black and white.
Right.
You know, it's rote. You learn to do it, and you can do it. There's so much nuance in sports betting. Okay, so of all of these, you know, the guys you worked with, did you have a mentor or mentors? You know, like for me, it was like Peter Griffin and Stanford Wong. These two guys, Griffin and Wong, were my guys. Was there somebody that you just said, I'm just soaking it up from this dude?
There really hasn't been one person. It's been a collection of a lot of guys. I talked about, you know, some of my early experience working with these guys in radio and you know, just soaking up what they had to say. And then as you progress in your sports betting career, you can pick out some guys that are really sharp and kind of speak your language, if you will. So it's been a lot of guys over the years, and just trying to take nuggets here and there and continue to put it into your own repertoire. I always say, I handicap 2 sports, PGA Tour golf and NFL football. And for everything else, I just listen to smart people. And I think that's what I do. I just try and listen to people that I really respect, you being one of them included, that I know are really good at this and a lot of times a lot better than me. And I just try and learn and educate myself every day.
Isn't that what every smart business tycoon says?
Yeah.
I listen to the smart people.
Yeah.
You know,
Surround
that's
yourself
the way
with
to
good
do it.
people. Right.
All right, last question, Brady. We're going to go back and do another solid for Matty. What's your favorite proxy service?
Hey, footballcontest.com, Matty Simo for sure. You know what? There is one more question. I got to plug you as well. I forgot you asked me what my favorite sports betting book is.
Oh, yeah. I assumed there wasn't a favorite. So,
Well, I haven't read a ton. I've read maybe a half a dozen sports betting books, some about stories.
Superbookie?
I haven't read that.
Oh, really?
No.
You know, that Art Mantera is the first, one of the first ones. But okay, go ahead.
So some of them have just been great stories and others have been educational. But my favorite one is about the stories, and that's one you published, And Then One Day by our friend Chris Andrews.
One day, Chris, yeah. Chris knocked it out of the park with that one.
It's hilarious. There's wonderful stories in that book.
And things to pick up, too. I mean,
there's
when you talk about getting information from all areas, this is a bookmaker writing.
Yeah.
So you get to a little bit of a look into a bookmaker's thinking and how the sports bettor has to go against the bookmaker.
Chris is another guy I learned a ton from. I used to ghostwrite an article. Chris would talk about every big game on the board, and where the movement has been, and just hearing his inflection and how he described, a sharp guy came in with this, and then we moved it to this. And I used to write that article every week, and you learn stuff from that.
All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you, Brady, for being a part of our show. And for you guys, we're going to go ahead and put a bunch of different links in the description box to Brady's show and to find Brady and to some of the books that we talked about. Anything else, Anthony?
No, it's a great guest, man. And thank you, Brady. It's always been a good experience with you.
Well, it's great to be with you guys. A real honor for you to have me on. And I guess it's contest season, Anthony. You and I have been meeting up the last few years around this time of the year. It's time to go again.
We got to do better.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Thanks, everyone.